oh shit, what the fuck is going on?
Are you fucking kidding me?
I need help, I don't know what to do.
Naked in my friend's mother's bed.
We should have gone to the hospital.
Yeah, I've seen a fair share of like people pissing.
I got bangs! Today we're about some like stuff related to childhood, some memories, some sad stuff. We're gonna pick a specific story and do a little collage of it. And yeah, that's really all the context that I prepared.
We're gonna make a collage.
It's gonna be great.
I don't know why, I feel like nope, that thought is gone. Let's take a look at some of the supplies we've got, because we've got some really cute things that we purchased for $1.
The Bible!
We just got some stuff that I thought would be like fun to have as like assets. This one's got a lot of like animals and like rain and like, I don't know, some old fucking bands in it.
Let's share some childhood stories. This is in high school, I think. Back in my high school days when I was a real angsty teen, I smoked cigarettes, which I'm not condoning the use of cigarettes. You really shouldn't do it. I've been clean from cigarettes for like 4 years now. Early in the mornings or during lunchtime, me and all my pals of angsty teens, we would always go to this like table that was slightly off campus to go smoke cigarettes. So we were over there hanging out, and all of a sudden this car pulls up next to us, and a woman jumps out of the car, and she's yelling and like running towards us, like yelling at. Of course we're like,
oh shit, what the fuck is going on?
And we get up and we start fucking
Bolting.
and we're running, and she's yelling us, calling us
Bitches.
and one of my friends actually fell down, and this woman grabbed her and was like,
I got one!
so we're running and we get to this fence, and we had to climb the fence and run across the field, and then we made it to campus.
Wow, escaping consequences, one heart attack at a time.
Yeah, it was very weird though.
They don't really tell you the complexities of death as a child, especially if you go to a, I don't know, like a mostly Christian, I was like super young at this point, like literally like 4. My friend's cat had recently died. You know, when they teach you about God and the afterlife as a kid, they always go like, oh, it's lovely. Because of that, I thought like, oh, the afterlife is really great, it's really chic, it's really cool. Work. What I did not understand, because I was 4, was that if you die, you don't come back.
My world.
So I'm over here, I'm like, man, I really miss my friend's cat. Let me go visit them. I literally laid out in the middle of the road, like waiting for a car to run me over so I could die and pet this cat in heaven. Like if you're gonna be religious and you're gonna teach your kid about the afterlife, add like a little spice of brimstone in there, just to make it clear that like dead people don't return. Cause like Jesus might return, but you don't.
Going back to high school and my good old, those good old days, same thing as I mentioned before, where me and these pals would go to like this spot to like smoke cigarettes. One morning we were there, and this one girl, I'll call her Gabby. This girl Gabby, all of a sudden her face kind of like goes blank, and her eyes get really wide, and she starts kind of like shaking. And of course, all of us were like, oh my God, Gabby's such a gag. We thought it was so funny, but you know, she's not stopping. She keeps shaking.
She's not okay.
Yeah, and then she like slips through the table. So then we're like,
Oh no, like something's wrong.
and I get the fuck up and I run to the closest store, and it was like this laundromat that was open in the back.
And you're like, I have some clothes that I need to take care of.
So I ran in through the back, and I was like,
holy shit, like my friend is having a seizure or something, like I need help, I don't know what to do.
by the time I run back to the table, Gabby's like sort of coming back to her senses, and then all of a sudden we hear someone approaching, and we turn around, and it was the school police. You know what we did?
Did you leave her there? All that was left was that like cartoon puff of smoke.
Well, she was conscious by that point, so.
She was like gagging on her spit, and you're like,
You'll live.
I wonder, does every school have that person that's like there's this one kid in our school who like, I think he just needed to feel special. He just needed to just stand out, show everyone who he was. And so he would bring a didgeridoo almost every fucking day. We all love to make fun of that one kid that like has a guitar and they bring it to, you know, parties because they just want to share the fact. It's like, we get it, not everyone.
We get it. Not everyone grew up with a loving family.
Everybody talks about the one kid in their school that wears a suit. And I'm like, does everyone have that one kid that brings like a large, very in-your-face instrument to class and then play it? Are you fucking kidding me?
I don't know why, but I keep thinking back to like early high school. Once again, I am not condoning this behavior. So me and some more of my angsty friends were staying the night over at a friend's house. So after her parents had gone to bed, we snuck out because we wanted to go hang out with boys. Oh. So we snuck out the window and we went over to this boy's house with all these other boys. So we're being little shitheads. We're doing some underage drinking, which once again, don't do that. I mean, this story in itself should really be like a tale warning you of this behavior. If you ever drinking Four Locos, you probably know where this is going. So my dear friend, I'll call her Allie, and she had already like downed one of them, and she was like,
Oh, I'm not feeling anything, it's not really affecting me.
the guys there being real gentlemen, they were like,
Oh, you need to drink more.
so she was drinking more and more. She was totally fine, and then all of a sudden, bitch is not fine, yeah. She was, the best way to describe it was like she was a corpse. All of a sudden, she was like on the ground. She was barely keeping her eyes open. She wasn't forming any like coherent sentences. So of course we were like, well, it's time for us to go.
It's time to leave her as well.
All these stories are just showing how shitty of a friend I am. So me and the other friend that we were with, we took Allie. We head back to this girl's house. Remind you that we had snuck out. So we had to sneak back in.
Shove this corpse through the fucking window.
And we just kind of, you know, slunk her body through the window. We laid her on her side and she was fine. In the morning she was, you know, sleeping in like a pool of vomit.
I've been there.
We should have brought her to the hospital.
She could have fully died.
Yeah.
Luckily, I've never been around alcohol poisoning, although there have been times where like I have definitely been the one who probably almost had alcohol poisoning.
Yeah.
I've only like woken up in my vomit twice. Too many times. The first time I woke up naked in my friend's mother's bed, covered in my vomit. The background, I had gotten very drunk. I like took a shower. So I remember getting into the shower for like a quick rinse to go to bed, and I don't remember anything else. The confusion of literally waking up in a pile of my like papery black vomit, because this had dried overnight. Fully nude, like in my friend's mother's bed. It was not a great moment. I'm not proud of that moment.
Oh God, yours is so pretty. You're so good at that.
Let's look at these beautiful creations. They correlate to a story we're about to tell.
I was in track for a couple of years. Me and my little girl squad, we were kind of like the ones that were not particularly good. We were not there to be track stars is essentially what I'm getting at. So you would go to the locker room and get dressed in your little shit and then like go down to the track, and that's where we all meet up. So me and my girls, we got all dressed up and we to the track, and then as we're running down there, the rest of the class is walking back up, and they're like,
Oh, we're having a team meeting up in the locker room.
and of course we were like, and so we like set our shit down at the track, taking a really slow time getting back up to the locker room. The rest of the team is already in the locker room. So we were, you know, taking our time getting up there, and we're having conversations about who fucking knows. It just so happened that as we're entering the locker room to this team meeting that we're having, the last word to leave my mouth as we enter into this locker room is boobies. As I enter this room, I see my coach talking to the team. Very serious, by the way. And so we're like, oh, I guess we gotta go over there. We disrupted a meeting in which they were talking about one of our fellow team members' dad's dying. And I entered the room yelling boobies.
Electric chair.
And they're like,
So, anyways, continuing, so Sharice's dad's funeral is going to be held on.
Those are like my favorite moments because like they fill you with such dread and awkwardness, but it's just great story all around. Let me tell you a tale tale of horror, a tale of intrigue,
A tale of woe.
a tale of woe. But this was back in my wee days when I lived in California. We were in the like deep in the suburbs. I always say I lived in the place where they send old people to die. The only thing you could do in this town was like be old and be Catholic. The way that these suburbs were set up was that there would be these like cul-de-sacs, and then in between each cul-de-sac there would be this like walking space that had like a storm drain in the center. Normally it was dry because like it's fucking California, there's like no rain. This walkway had a connection to like all of the neighborhoods, and this was like a way in which I found like other neighborhood kids, right? So I met this one girl, and she was from a couple cul-de-sacs down, and everything was great. Everything was doing fine. She was fun, she was spunky, she had fucking Heelys, and I was like, oh, she's cool. We're playing in this like walkway storm drain area, and we're fairly close to my house and to hers. Like it would not have been more than like a 2 or 3 minute walk to either of our houses. And she's like,
oh man, I really need to use the restroom right now.
I'm like, no problem, girl. We can just walk to my house. It's okay that I don't know you. Instead of going to like either one of our houses, which again, we're only like a couple of minutes away, she was like, no. I've got a method, you see. I've got a little something spicy for you and me. And I'm like, okay. At this point, like, I've seen a fair share of my like people pissing. I'll take that, right? No. She goes down to the center, pulls all her pants down, and then takes a shit, staring at me the entire time. I just met this bitch for the first time.
What a fucking power move.
I was very much weirded out. I think I was like,
Oh, what the heck?
and like looking my eyes away.
This bitch is about to murder me.
And so I didn't have the heart to tell her that I was so incredibly freaked out that I didn't want to hang out with her anymore. And so we like never see each other again. I don't go to her house. I don't find her. After that, I tell my mom, and I'm like horrified, right? Next, like a month later, I'm walking into one of the parks that's accessible through this road, and I see her approaching. This girl clearly recognizes me, and she's like, Vicky, what's up? But I'm like, I'm not Vicky. I'm Jan.
Yeah.
I'm not a great liar.
Thank you for joining us. I hope that your childhoods weren't as rough as ours.
I hope you wake up enraged. I hope your day is shit. I hope your mom is
Fucked.
Leave a comment with your own childhood story, or just any fun like thing you'd like to share that you remember from your nostalgia-ridden past.
Thank you to everyone who voted. Bye.
I feel like the only time where I remember anything physical happening was when people like threw
Rocks at us.
Yeah, in like middle school.